Well, Ontario Solicitor General is proposing to prohibit declawing, cropping, and canine vocal cord surgeries. We're going to talk more about these controversial practices live this morning with Linda Jacobson, the Director of Shelter Medicine Advancement at the Toronto Humane Society. Linda, I appreciate the time this morning. You and I have just been talking. You're calling this kind of a no-brainer. You'd like to see this go further. But let's talk about where the province wants to go right now in terms of these, as you say, medically unnecessary procedures for cats and dogs.
Yes, these are medically unnecessary cosmetic procedures, and the province is proposing to ban 3 of them.
Which 3 are they looking at banning in particular?
Those are declawing, ear cropping, and debarking.
Okay, but that's not all that animals necessarily are kind of put through in certain cases here. Where would you like to see this expanded, and how important is this for animal welfare, really?
We see this as a real opportunity. Ontario is late to this party, so we would like to see the government doing a full job and not a partial job, and just banning medically unnecessary cosmetic procedures on animals. For pets, that would include also tail docking and unnecessary declaw removal.
Now, obviously, you come from a one position here. I understand that some kennel clubs, for example, are not necessarily in favor of this. Could you talk a bit about the other side and what the arguments are here?
I was thinking about this on the way here. I don't understand the arguments in the sense that people in kennel clubs love animals. They were involved in animals. That's their life.
Yeah.
And we would love to see the kennel clubs really taking a stand on animal welfare. And not just cosmetic procedures, but also breeding animals to be deformed in various ways that affects their welfare negatively.
Yeah. I think some people, and I just found this out as our conversation was before we came up on camera, about declawing, and I think maybe for our audience you could demonstrate, I know I'm not a cat, but you could use my hand a little bit, just to sort of describe what sort of happens here. So you can use my hand as pretend it's a cat's paw.
Yeah, so it's a real misnomer. When people think about declawing, they think about this part, the nail. But in fact, it's a surgical amputation of the top joint here of the digit. So up to this joint, and think about it, you've got 5 on each front foot, so that's 10, and then if the back feet are declawed as well, that's another 8. So there's a potential for chronic pain, phantom pain, and so on in 18 or at the least 10 different places. How
do cats express this? Like, how do you know if a cat may necessarily be feeling that phantom pain? Is that something that you can tell as a pet guardian?
Cats are difficult. Cats hide pain, so often you can't tell. Maybe you've just got a cat that's a grumpy cat, and you don't know that it wouldn't have been a grumpy cat if it hadn't been declawed. Yeah. When they're more painful and they have no way of not expressing it, they could potentially just not use the litter box because it's too painful to scratch in the litter box, and that obviously leads to all kinds of problems, possibly even relinquishment and possibly even euthanasia.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awful. It's the rules also in terms of you're a veterinarian as well. If I bring my animal to a veterinarians can actually refuse to do these procedures, or they can do them under the existing laws. Can you explain a bit about that?
Yes, there's not a prohibition on veterinarians doing them. The college has a statement sort of discouraging these surgeries, but they're not prohibited at this point. But any veterinarian is I think, ethically obliged to refuse to do them, but certainly empowered to refuse to do them. And most do. Very few veterinarians are doing these surgeries now.
With this momentum here, with this sort of, 3 procedures at this point the government's looking at, do you feel like there's some momentum here that this could be the moment where you could get to the point where all of these medically unnecessary procedures could be stopped?
Yes, these are very, very slow processes. It takes years to get to this point. And that's why we are really hoping that the government will take that one more step and really do a complete job and not a partial job of banning these surgeries.
Okay, well, this will be an interesting situation to watch. Pretty shocking stuff. Linda Jacobson, appreciate the time this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the conversation.